bringing this, one discussion, yes. The reason I keep bringing this is because even slip, there is Freudian slip, right, that we get. And we do get a lot of different people with different backgrounds and different ethnicities, different conditioning, and a lot of skepticism. And we don't want to talk like Vedantists here. I'm sorry, we cannot. The line of business we are in, we cannot talk like Vedanti. They have not come with that expectation. If somebody goes to Chinmaya Mission, you can easily talk like this and everybody will be okay with that. But people who come to us for yoga therapy or even general yoga and seek some counseling like this, yogi counseling is perfectly legal, by the way. You can very well say spiritual counseling is legal. But the moment you say soul and all, especially youngsters, that generation, and we are getting plenty of youngsters nowadays, you really have to work with them. And if you don't give the language that they are going to be able to connect with, you really did not help them. And if you talk like any other person, let's say, there are people talking to them already. So you're not the first one. If they have had problems like this, like what just Suki said, they would have already met many people talking to them. But they have come to you for yoga because they were not able to be helped by this. So slowly you're building a perspective into them. How? And if you didn't do that, you're not doing the service to them. And if you did that by your Vedantic means, then you're chasing them away. You are in a dilemma. You are in a problem. It's a pretty serious problem. I'm not trying to put my words into anything. I'm just trying to say that there is a problem which we have to address.
So what I have understood, I have to learn how to put it in.
You have to be there.
Anybody, yeah.
You have to live that, right?
I really liked your bus and train thing because I don't think like the river, like it's similar, but since that's your idea, the bus and the train, I think you could just build on that because I mean, you don't have to be Indian to like buses and trains. Like it's a worldwide thing. So like I think you could build on that and it would be basically the same.
That's a really good point. I don't have to be the river.
Going on the journey.
Except that if you say the soul takes on, and all that, that's why I didn't bring that vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. That also can be said in a different way, but when you say the soul takes on this or that, people have problems. The spirit has to be understood, but they are not even going to go up to the point of understanding the spirit of it. You just at the door chase them away. So we want them inside the door for them to get the whole concept. So somehow, how do you bring them inside the door? That's where I am kind of lost, and I want you guys to
I'll challenge
tell us.
myself and give your talk.
Please do.
So what could be some strategies to
Better.
The strategy
not convince or convert, but
the strategy is that, right? Panchamahabhutas is good strategy. If you say it is just the Panchamahabhutas that we are made up of, right? We didn't come from nowhere. We came from something. There's some substance out there, and call it soul, call it whatever you want to call it. You can even say that. You can bring the word soul, except you don't have to delve into the word of soul and put that seed into their mind. They are saying, we have been asked many times, are you a cult? I came here for yoga and I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim or I'm an atheist and I'm pretty seriously, that kind. So, and what are you? I hope you are not going to change me by me coming here. That is their premise when they come here. So if you bring that, then it becomes a problem. So you can say, look, we didn't come from nothing. We came from our parents, from one cell. And that cell also didn't come from anywhere, nowhere. It's just a bunch of this worldly stuff that we are made up of, condensed into one being here, and we exist. Just about like somebody's 21 years ago, right? I was talking to Vikram. 21 years ago, who were you? And are you scared of being the same, whatever you were 21 years ago, back again in about 100 years later? Why? If you are scared, why? It's the stuff that you wear and the stuff that you become. Your friend was whatever stuff they were, and that's the stuff they are now. So this blurb of this little body comes and goes, but there is something underneath that's always been there. That also is fine, right? You don't have to say anything. And so from that perspective, when you look at it, we may have taken one form now, and maybe that stuff will take another form tomorrow. So that's possibility too. So you don't have to necessarily say that this is exactly how it's going to be. Today we are humans, tomorrow, yesterday we were dogs. It doesn't have to be even that way, right? So that reincarnation concept can be brought in, but very subtly and more in a possibility kind of manner, as opposed to, yes, this is how it's going to be. Then people have problems with that. In a scientific way, when we build a perspective, it has to be done in a very methodical manner. Like why I like the word river is, you take a cup of water from there. That's who you are. Are you different from the river or ocean or whatever? You are just that same thing. And when I pour it back into the ocean, what happens? The water is lost, and I can pick up another cup of water again. So then I can become me again, or whatever form of another form of me. Because it's just a question of just manipulating that stuff, right? What it says, samaloshtashma kanchanaha. When you develop that, you then will see that the mud or the gold or the kanchana, everything will then start looking, oh wow, that's what it is, it's stuff. And then the perspective is different. Then when you identify with this little blurb that I am, then you are so tensed. But when I develop a bigger picture, which also I am very much part of that big picture, then the fear is not going to be there, because of the inevitable, right? Something that comes up has to go back. If an oxygen is in an excited state, it has to go back into its original O2 state. If I made it O single oxygen, nascent oxygen, how long can it stay nascent? It has to become the regular oxygen. So same thing, maybe I'm a nascent oxygen at this point, a blurb that has come up, and that has to go away. Why are we so worried about that? It's a much easier way to say it, that everything that is born has to die, when it is identified as that temporary state. But when we identify with the canvas, and there are colors on the canvas, the colors exist today, and when I pour some water on it and wash it, the colors wash away, but the canvas still remains. That is also another way. There are so many examples in the river and the ocean and the waves. I'm just a wave, but when the waves are subsided, the ocean went away. That's another great example there. Advaita's great example. Use these examples. Refrain from using the word, we are just the soul. Identify with your soul. Okay, with my soul. Where is that soul? When I say my soul, you are not the soul then. If you are taking the stand of a soul, you won't say my soul. But you use the word my soul. That's what makes people even further confused. Then there is another soul part. I don't know where that is. At least I can see my body. Now we are talking about yet another element, which is mind, supposed to be. Then who is me? So the standpoint is an interesting one. You are also taking the body standpoint to talk about soul. Then you have no right to talk about the soul.
It's a very serious business.
Yeah.
Soul business.
Soul business.
We have to be very
Yeah.
mindful.
I want to say this. I want to give an example of Kama Devi, who was a great. She was a 16-year-old girl who walked out of her husband's house, and he tried to say, "This sari that you are wearing is also mine." It was a king, pretty much forcibly got her, and she said, "You cannot touch me. I'm dedicated to God as my husband." Said, "The sari you're wearing also is mine. Everything is mine. So just what do you think? You owe me." And he says, she just casts off her sari and she says, "Look, I'm walking out. Who will stop that lady?" And then later she walks into the Anubhava Mandapa, which is where all these sages are sitting, and she enters, and the debate happens. In the debate, they ask her, why are you here? And you should be in your husband's house. You should be having samsar. Why are you here? And all that. She says, "I married Chandamallikarjuna. That's her god deity, and that's him. I'm one with him. I'm one with him." This repeated vachanas come. Once I'm one with him, then however this body is, it doesn't matter. I am one with him. And then this Allama Prabhu is a great Hatha Yogi and a sage. He says, your sentence, I am one with him. What does that mean? How can a person who is one with God say, I am one with God? The very sentence is self-defeating. I and him is used here. As soon as I won't say I and I, because I am I. So I and I will not. So there's something problem. There's something wrong with your sentence. He says this at the end of like 4 or 5 vachanas. Beautiful dialogue in Kannada. How can you be one with him when you are saying you are one with him? So that is why I brought that.
Maharshi says
no.
Maharshi explains about that.
Maharshi.
No,
What
that
was the outcome of that
Maharshi,
debate?
what does she respond?
Oh, finally she defeats him.
Yeah.
She beautifully defeats him. She says it's like she gives so many other analogies. It's a long thing.
No,
And finally,
when
that's
the
fine.
king said that's my sari, so she took the sari off and that,
Yeah, she does.
like unclothed
yeah.
to the.
I'll send you the article I wrote.
She grows hairs.
Yeah.
She
Grow hair to cover her body. It's very
No, no,
upsetting.
she eventually they
Okay,
give her
yeah, on one
hours.
side.
But at
What's
that
going on
moment
with
she
it?
walks up. She walks up. She says, what is this? You want to look at this body? This is what you are troubled with, right? You want to see me, right? Here you go. This is flesh, blood. It's just sweat, mucus, feces. Here, this is what body is. Just like how Jain saints walk. She walked out. Now, what do you want to do? This is what it is. And then, supposedly the story goes that she goes to her guru and he says, enough of your leela. I am going to cover you. And he gives her a blanket which is black. And that's why that is, she also had a long hair, but actually she walks with a blanket after that. So even today, Akamadevi's photo is like that, with the black hair covering her whole body. And then they say, you walked out of your husband's house and nobody respects such women. And so they want to test her. And Allama Prabhu wants to show to the whole of that Anubhava Mandapa how great this woman is. And that's why he gives her immense test. That you left your husband and came here and you think you are great, tell your husband's name and come and sit here. And she says, yes, I have an identity. Channamallikarjuna is my husband. How can he be your husband? That is Sakara and this is Nirakara. How can Nirakara be the husband of Sakara? And all that debate. It's a beautiful Advaita debate. So it's okay. The point I'm trying to say here is it's possible to explain soul without saying the word soul. You take that place and then the word soul disappears. Me is a different word than soul. Me is soul. So then you say, I have come from this bunch of stuff and then going back to that stuff. So there's nothing that is lost. It's just a temporary state of existence of this body. And why am I so crying for those other temporary states that come and go? And look at the beauty of the manifestation, right? When that stuff came and went, it left a footprint of some kind to this world. And let us look at that footprint and let's take that and see how we can enrich and unfold in ourselves using that person who she was talking about died, right? Yeah, 4 cars, horrible death. How do you define death? How can death be anything better? Some way we all have to die. And 3 other cars passed on top of the dead body. How does it matter what happened? But see, our view of that death is gruesome because it's our conditioning. We want the death to be maybe in the bed, or maybe with a tube or some such thing. That's our own problem, right? The problem is not with the death itself. Everybody has to go through. As soon as you are born with pain. You cry when you're born. Because why does a child cry? It's so painful to come out in the first place. Because suddenly bright light and your umbilical cord is cut now and you don't have safety anymore, and as it is, that's the pain. Maybe going back to the womb is probably better. Who knows? So we have this conditioning ourselves, thinking that this is what it's supposed to be. This little nascent oxygen is supposed to be better than the stable state of oxygen O2. Why do we have that perspective and we suffer our own perspective? Maybe O2 is fine. It was just fine. Somehow it got released off of that stable condition and it will go back one day or the other. So Swami Vivekananda says it very beautifully. Every moment we are fighting the universe. We are fighting the nature. Our next breath is a fight against the relaxed breath, isn't it? Because relax, and then we have to now put in an effort to take a deep breath. Yeah. So that is what you need to give. Thank you. Sorry.
What was the name of that lady?